Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is a daily NBA show that we've been doing every day with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Today is Wednesday, February 25th, and we had two more winners on yesterday's show. Now I'm 16-10 against the spread in this show, and Joe Duffy, OffshoreInsiders.com, is now 18-10 against the spread in this show. What a successful show. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, St. Peter Loshak.
Joe Duffy's website, OffshoreInsiders.com. Has he proven himself? I think that he has. Very quickly, tell us what you have going on tonight, and then we'll get to the big card tonight.
Actually, 139 and 97, 58.7% in basketball, 4-1 last night. Yes, we have a total of 10 winners tonight, led by two Wise Guy plays, the highest play in the handicapping industry. Come to OffshoreInsiders.com for more details.
Wow, 10 winners tonight. All right, well, hopefully we can have a couple more free winners from tonight's 12-game card in the NBA. A lot of things that I'm thinking about. I don't even know where to start, Joe Duffy. We'll try to make this fast. First thing, I'm thinking maybe, Washington is struggling, right? They have talent, but Washington is struggling. Minnesota, they've gotten healthier. Kevin Garnett, of course, is coming back. It seems like it's shaping up for a win and cover of Minnesota tonight, -1.5. What do you think, Joe Duffy?
Yeah, I didn't really have a super strong opinion on that one. Obviously, Bradley Beal remains out for Washington, but there really hasn't been anything as far as spread-wise to make out of that. They're 7-8 without him, going over 8-6-1. I'm not really all that in love with this game. I will say I'm not a big trends guy, but the trends, if for those of you who are into that, the Wizards are 20-4 on the road after a game in which they allow at least 50% shooting from the field. They're also 17-2 as a dog after a loss in which they scored at least 18 fast break points. So if you're a trend guy, it would say Washington, but I'm not really much of a trend guy, even though they're pretty statistically fairly significant. Still, all in all, I don't really have a strong opinion either way, so don't let me talk you out of it.
All right, well, I don't know if I'm going to go for that one. And then another game we have to wonder about, right? The Spurs. The Spurs are becoming kind of an auto fade right now. I asked you if the Spurs were an auto fade before. You said not really, but since then, they've continued to lose. I don't know what their exact ATS record now is over their last 12 games or whatever, but it's bad. And Portland, at home, -3. And I think that LaMarcus Aldridge is supposed to be back in the lineup tonight. Considering how the Spurs have done against the spread, considering the line, considering that Portland is, has some decent talent, Aldridge back, you think Portland -3 might be a play?
You are right that LaMarcus Aldridge is possible. Remember, when a key player, and certainly Aldridge comes back in the lineup, sometimes it's a step backwards to take a step forward. The Spurs, as you said, they've been a good team to go against, and they're even losing some games straight up. But remember, I said that usually when you want to fade quality teams is when they're winning straight up but not covering. Yet again, another one of those. I'll report, you decide. I'm not a trends guy, but it's interesting to note the Spurs are 15-1 with it at most 1 day rest off of the game in which 3 or fewer players scored 10 or more points in a loss as a favorite. But all in all, still, you're probably right. The Spurs are a team you could put a check mark next to go against.
And then another thing I'm thinking about, interesting game here, Memphis-Sacramento. Right now, Sacramento's a 7-point home underdog, and Sacramento, of course, Carl is the new coach. And they may lack a little bit in talent, but you got to figure they're going to be pretty motivated to play for Carl and with his new system, at least to start the second half. And most importantly for this game, they've had a lot of time to sort of rest up and prepare. And so maybe they'll give their best shot against a top NBA team here in Memphis. And Memphis going on the road, Sacramento, new coach, getting a lot of points at home. Is Sacramento +7 maybe a play?
I will say this, that as a general rule of thumb, one of those golden rules, maybe not golden rules to always bet, but to always consider, is when teams do make coaching changes in the middle of the year, more times than not, it's going to work short term, may or may not work long term, but it is a big wake-up call that teams need. But keep in mind the Kings will still be without Darren Collison, a very good player, averages 16 points per game, 5.6 assists. But whenever in doubt, going with the new coach theory, I usually lean towards that. So I would probably lean towards agreeing with you.
Then another interesting situation, Dallas and Atlanta. That Atlanta-Toronto game, first game back from the break for Atlanta, I kind of had a hunch in the back of my mind, maybe this will be where Atlanta's getting maybe a little bit of a letdown, a little bit cocky. 4 guys, on the All-Star team, first game back from the break, and they got absolutely blown out. So here they are, their first home game after that big embarrassing Toronto loss. -6.5 or 7 over Dallas. And Dallas, does have some issues around the second game of a back-to-back. If Atlanta has full motivation here and full talent going, then maybe Atlanta -6.5 might be worth a shot.
I do think that for the most part, the Hawks have probably crested as far as their value is concerned. Now all of a sudden they're the hunter. They are the hunted rather than just the hunter. But Jeff Teague, keep in mind, he is questionable. He's probably going to play, but he is arguably the Hawks' most valuable player. Now, that's the magic of the Hawks, that they are so deep. But when you lose a point guard, if Teague isn't playing, that's very key, although they are actually 3-0 against the spread minus him. But I did have the Hawks leaning towards fading them as a general rule of thumb, but I don't think this is a great situation to fade them. So if I were to go with the Hawks, probably tonight would be a decent situation.
All right, and then a bunch of other plays that I was considering. First, I was thinking about Miami, Orlando on the under. Orlando with the new coaches kind of clamping down on defense, and even though Miami has been high scoring since the break, I'm thinking maybe this will be a competitive game that might go under. I was also maybe thinking about the Lakers +10. The Lakers obviously suck this year. They're in a horribly lost season, but they do have some depth on their second team, and going up against a team like Utah, maybe 10 is a few too many points. And then I was also thinking about the over in Brooklyn, New Orleans. Brooklyn has started to go higher scoring recently, and New Orleans with Davis and Anderson out, they're wondering where their offense was going to come from. But they did put up 100 in their last game. They did get the offense total not too high, 192. What do you think about any of those three plays? Do any of those three plays attract you, Joe Duffy?
Yeah, certainly when you're talking about a guy, the quality of Davis out, that each game, I think it's, the point of diminishing return where you can kind of rally around that adversity, and now he's been out for a while. I mean, how do you replace a guy that's averaging 23.9 points and 10.3 rebounds? They have, though, admittedly covered 2 straight, and they're 3-3 without him on the year. The 2 free plays that I was going to give you, we haven't even focused on either one of those games, so I don't really strongly agree or disagree. I know I've come up a little bit short. That's why it's not going to be a premium play, but I still think the Knicks should benefit from that so-called Ewing theory, which I know a lot of pro gamblers subscribe to. Carmelo Anthony is out for the Knicks. I always thought he was overrated. I'll admit that the Knicks don't have a whole lot of firepower, but again, they're getting double digits against a so-so team. And yes, I am aware the Knicks are 2-6-1 without Anthony, which does surprise me a little bit. But keep in mind, Boston with Jared Sullinger out. They're 1-2 without him, so I'm probably going to take the points on the Knicks. And, I still think those 76ers, they're a resilient team again. Michael Carter-Williams probably going to play tonight for Milwaukee. Now, a lot of people might say, well, Michael Carter-Williams will be fired up playing against his old teammates. But still think that, it's going to take some time for Williams to adjust in the Milwaukee lineup, and he is a flawed player. And the 76ers have really been a pretty good cover team since losing Roten. They're 15-7-2, and I think now without Williams, you're going to get great value on them. And there's a little bit too much uncertainty for Milwaukee. Carter Williams will probably be a good addition for them long term, but his likely first game back, I think that's just laying too many points. And I think the Sixers are going to be one of those dichotomous, straight up and ATS teams that I like to talk about.
All right, well, I'll give you my comments on it. The first one, the Knicks one, I don't know how I feel about that one. First of all, it was 12.5 on the overnight. Now we're going to have to give you 10.5. So that's not good that you're getting a not so great number there. And Boston, they're scoring a lot. 3 straight overs since the break. They're really ramping it up on offense, so they can cover big numbers like this. And the Knicks, 2 huge losses since the break. They're 0-3-1 against spread over their last 4, but they're really getting blown out. Now they're going up against a team that is scoring a lot, playing high-scoring games. This one could easily get out of hand again. Boston covers by 15. I don't know. And you're only getting 10.5.
Yeah, no, it certainly can. I mean, look, the Knicks are a very bad team, but when you're humiliated like that, sometimes there is you want to play literally to not get blown out, to not get embarrassed. And as far as we're concerned, that's playing to cover the spread. So again, it does not rise to the level of necessarily a premium play, but I do think that the Knicks, they're a pretty good value now. And again, sometimes you just got to get with those ugly teams to edge out a spread victory.
All right, and then Philly, Milwaukee, that's an interesting one. Right now the line is 10.5 or 11. So for the purpose of this video, we can give you Philly plus 11. And yeah, Milwaukee, 3 ATS losses since the break, all unders. And this line, this game figures to be a low scoring. So I like that one quite a bit more, I think. It's just Milwaukee on the year has been a very good team against the spread. But you think that what they are right now is not the same as what they were earlier in the year.
No, and like I said, the one step forward to take the step back. But most importantly, one of the biggest myths a lot of of people think that the 76ers, there's no question that their management tanked it, where they're building for the future. But you've got a bunch of players, like I said, who are fighting for their careers. They're never going to have a better chance to prove themselves. And nobody wants to bet on Philadelphia. I'm sure if you talk to your buddy at DSI or any bookmaker, they'll tell you nobody wants to bet on the 76ers. So you've got to get a little bit more of a premium to bet against them. So you got to really take advantage of it. Just as I like to tell my clients, think about it. If you could get an extra 1.5 to 2 points every single game, how much your winning percentage would improve. And I think the Sixers are a team like that they're going to get an extra 1.5 to 2 points than they should be getting just about every game.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do, Joe Duffy? I got a ton of leans on this card, obviously. I think, though, I'm just going to stick with that one pick, Brooklyn, New Orleans, over. Right now, 192 is the market-wide number. And Joe Duffy, once again, his 2 picks for tonight, Philly plus 11 and the Knicks plus 10.5. Thanks so much for all your awesome thoughts. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Talk to you again tomorrow.